Hello guys, welcome back to another episode of the Girls Lounge. Today we are giving you words to live by, all the best advice lessons we've learned. But of course, before we get into that, we're going to get into our regular segment. So first, what we've been up to. So for me, lots of school, lots of internship work, a lot of stressing about grad school. This weekend was the homecoming for my college. I didn't participate in any homecoming activities, but my aunt came down because she went to the same school as me, and we just went out to eat with some of her friends, went shopping, picked up some crumble cookie. That was pretty much it. And then she came back to my apartment, we chilled, we made a TikTok. It was pretty good. And then I went to bed. And then today I've just been recovering. I got an unwanted visitor this morning, if you're a girl. So I've been in pain and low energy. But other than that, I just been chilling, but also stressing at the same time, if that even makes sense.
So for what I've been up to, I've been feeling the stress. All of my classes, final papers are coming up and everything, final projects. So been really feeling that stress. Have I started any of it yet? No, but that's on the to-do list for this week. And then this weekend I went on a leadership retreat, which was really nice. Take my mind off some things. And also, if you follow us on TikTok, you saw I made an appearance on the TikTok account. Y'all, the way filming that TikTok, I swear it took 30 minutes. So many takes, so many cuts. I understand what the influencers are struggling with now.
Yes, and I'm gonna do a quick plug for our social medias. We be trying, y'all. We've been putting in work, so with more things to come. So make sure you follow.
Exactly. Make those 30 minutes that I spent filming them TikToks worth every single moment.
And now we're gonna get into our favorites of the week. So mine is my heating pad. Like I said, an unwanted visitor came. When I tell y'all, a heating pad has saved my life. I feel like a lot of us, probably when we first started, our peers are like, "No, we're gonna tough out this pain." But I quickly learned, no, I'm gonna do everything to relieve that pain, and that's my truth.
So, a little DIY if you don't have a heating pad. If you get an old sock, stuff it with some rice, and then you just heat that up in the microwave. DIY heating pad, you guys. But for my favorites of the week, I've been really enjoying this chapstick that I have, which is like a beeswax natural chapstick. And then I've also been really enjoying my music. Some new albums dropped this weekend, so I was listening to that. And those are my favorites of the week.
So our next segment, we're going to get into our sports corner. The biggest news that I would say has happened within the F1 community is the F1 75 ticket drama. Now, if you don't know, typically every year, each team will have like a little event to drop like their design for the car next year. But this year, since it's the 75 anniversary of, I don't know, they decide to do it all at once instead of individually, just for this year though, I'm pretty sure. And so they're like, oh, fans, like you could come. But a lot of people don't realize is like with things like F1, like a lot of tickets are already going to be set aside for like sponsors and then like brands to invite like influencers and stuff like that. So there wasn't that many, tickets available, and people were really mad because it was really hard to get. I think the site had some crashes and things like that. And it just reminded me of just like everything you see about trying to get concert tickets. And it just reminded me of our talk because people were upset. They're like, well, y'all should disclose like how many tickets y'all actually had. And like, they're going to be so mad seeing like influencers there when like, real F1 fans didn't get any. So I was just like, wow, what an interesting debacle.
I understand their struggle getting tickets. I've been there. If you were, survived the Taylor Swift thing, that's what it's giving right now. But also, I feel like there's been a lot of F1 PR stuff because this one's for the book girlies, specifically the normal people fans. Apparently, the guy who plays Connell, he's gonna be coming out with a little interview with the Ferrari guys. That's literally everything I need. Perfect crossover of all my worlds.
No, because one thing I love about being an F1 fan is just seeing all the other things that I'm interested in, like just coincide, just like clash with, not clash, but like, show up. And I'm just like I'm not a Paul Mescal, yeah, whatever his name is. I'm like, girly, I do appreciate his looks, but I'm not obsessed with him. But just like seeing it, I'm like, oh yeah, this is history. Charles and Carlos, they were at the Gladiator premiere, and Paul is in that, along with many other people that I did not realize were in that movie. And so there's like clips of them three being interviewed together. And then if you don't know, a lot of the F1 teams do a lot of PR. And then for Ferrari, they kind of do like a C-square type of trend series on their YouTube channel. And so yeah, Paul is gonna be in one of those videos, and I will be watching.
No, because Ferrari eats with those videos. I love when Charles and Carlos are getting interviewed and questions, and then their just personalities just really come to the surface. I live for that.
And now we're gonna get into pop culture. Not a lot going on in pop culture either, to be honest, this week. I feel like the main thing that I've been seeing is the Outer Banks cash drama. Now, for me personally, I feel like I've been seeing stuff about this, but now with spoiler warning, if you have not watched the last season, I will not be the one to spoil it for you. And this is a major spoiler. You have 5 seconds to skip. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. I hope you're gone. So, and I feel like the rumors just exploded since Rudy's character got killed off, and people are just really upset because they feel like Elaine, which is his girlfriend and a former photographer for Outer Banks, is a big part of it, and there's a lot of beef. Like, I remember for the last season with the PR, people had speculations because they were like interacting with each other in the interviews. And yeah, there's like been things, but I feel like I said, because JJ got killed off, there's been like, it's just a lot of people are talking about it. And when I tell y'all, a lot of people, my brother also watches the show. He's 27. Y'all, why was he texting me about the drama? Like, it is really making its round this time. Like, it's crazy.
No, because why I also see theories, because you know how they're coming out with the new Hunger Games movie for Mitch, and people are like speculating, they're like JJ should be cast for young Mitch. Now I'm starting to see theories that he got killed off from Outer Banks because he's gonna be filming the new Hunger Games movie. That's another theory. I don't know how accurate it is, but we'll have to see if it comes to fruition.
I feel like that wouldn't be too crazy though, because I remember, again, I don't really know how this specific rumor is like has weight to it, because it came from like a person who claims was on the set of Outer Banks or like knows stuff, that like there's kind of some beef. Like, I don't think the creator of Outer Banks wanted them necessarily in other projects, but at the same time they were in other projects though, so I'm like, but maybe they were like, no, we're taking this, we don't care. But I don't know. If you don't really know what we're talking about, basically the characters who play JJ and Key just have beef so bad that they needed stunt doubles for all the cuddling and like hugging scenes this season, because the beef is that bad. And to be honest, if you just look it up on Twitter, you can get like a whole thread about it that goes way into detail with screenshots and all that. And I feel like it mostly started because the girlfriends beefed with each other. I think Madison's girlfriend didn't like when people were talking about Rudy much. And like, she had a little attitude about it. And then I just don't think Elaine really liked it. And then there's some things that Elaine has done that fans haven't liked. And I think it's very messy. And then I just found out today that apparently JJ, or that's not his name, but Rudy had a girlfriend before Elaine, who I think also worked on the set of Outer Banks, or like was close to it, because there's a picture of all of them together, which is crazy. And she kind of resembles Madison with, she's mixed, curly hair, and people are like, oh, it makes sense. Like, this is why Elaine does not want them to be all friendly, but in my mind, I don't know Madison's sexuality, but she is dating a girl. I don't know if she's bi or what, but if she isn't bi, I just don't understand, like, what are you jealous of? If that's the case, or if it's just like, oh, I just do not like their energy.
Don't take my word for it, but I'm pretty sure she's not bi. I'm pretty sure she's lesbian. So I'm like, it's giving insecurity from these other partners, if anything. Like, if there's obviously nothing there. And I'm not gonna lie, I'm not a huge like Key and JJ like shipper in the show. Like, I feel like they don't even like, yes, they have chemistry, but it's not like, oh my god, I need them to be together, like blah, blah, like that kind of chemistry. So I'm like, y'all are reading into it way too much if you are insecure about it, because it's clear that it's like acting, it's not like other characters were like off the screen, you can see that like chemistry. For example, the two characters from Scandal, there's something going on there, and I will always stand by that.
And I just think it's crazy how Chase and Madeline, who actually dated, were able to be professional, but Madison and Rudy couldn't be. And yeah, I think that's all I have to say. I just hope it doesn't, affect Rudy's career too much, being known like harder to work with. Yeah, I think they should have been more professional, but I have seen that Madison and Rudy have interacted more in interviews and stuff. But yeah, that's my thoughts on it.
No, because especially the way that Sarah and I don't know these people's actual names, but Sarah and John B, they literally had like an actual romantic relationship, and they're still like romantic characters in the show, and they're able to be completely fine. Yeah, like I said, it's giving insecurities.
Oh, I forgot one thing I wanted to say real quick about the ship of Kiara and JJ. Yeah, low-key, I feel like maybe season one, I definitely was down for that. But I feel like after that, since the real life drama impacted, the show, like the chemistry between the characters, I'm like, no, we need Kiara and Rafe together. I am a Kiara and Rafe shipper till I die. People may say it's weird. Y'all just don't see the vision. Y'all are not creatives like me.
No, because what Kendi said, and I'll talk about this when I get into the next section.
And now we're gonna get into the next section, which is what we are watching. I will let Liz just take it away since she's on a roll with the Outer Banks.
Thank you so much. So what I've been watching, no surprise here, Outer Banks. I'm on episode 9, so like I'm not done with it, but I already know how it's gonna end, like spoiler wise with JJ and everything. So I need to like finish watching. But in my head now, what I'm thinking is, so JJ's not gonna be in the next season. So Rafe and Key, are we finally gonna get this moment? Please, Netflix people, listen. Like the fans want this. Because just hear me out. There's just something that happened between them in the past, back when Key and Sarah were friends. And I feel like it was a little best friend's brother kind of scenario. And I feel like there's still some unresolved tension there. So I really hope something happens. And now I actually have hope.
No, because I definitely think Key had a little crush on JJ. I definitely think a little something happened because if you notice, Rafe, he never spazzes out on Key. Like I can't remember a single time where he's really done that. Like I feel like he views her. Okay, I don't want to say the same with Sarah since Sarah is his sister, but he has a soft spot for her, you guys. I'm telling you.
Exactly, Kennedy. You understand. Like, I've seen so many videos about this, how, like, when the way that Rafe talks to Key, he calls her something like nobody else does he call her by her name? I don't know.
I can't recall at this moment.
Well, he refers to her differently from everyone else, and she doesn't, like, get mad at him. Also, been getting back into some of my YouTube videos. I feel like there's just something about YouTube is so comforting, especially like the long video format, vlog style. Y'all get what I'm saying. Them vlogs. Super comforting. Trying to get back into it because I have been slacking with the YouTube videos.
So I watched the Martha documentary. Y'all, it was so good. So if you don't know who Martha is, Martha Stewart, I'm sure that name is pretty recognizable. Also, I never knew much about her because, like, she's obviously she's like a pop culture, person to us that we know her, but like I didn't know anything of her story because that's not our time. So it's very interesting to see her rise into like this homemaker, and like I feel like a lot of people are coined as like the first influencer or whatever, but no, Martha Stewart low-key really is the first influencer rather than I feel like Paris Hilton, because she was like the first person to make a living out of making her living her brand, like her cooking, her lifestyle, all that type of stuff into a billion-dollar business. And it was just interesting to see how, well, one, I didn't realize she's the first self-made billionaire woman. I don't know the world or America, but she's that. And just to see the journey of her company go up. But y'all, I had no idea sis went to jail. She did only go to jail for 5 months, which, I mean, I don't want to say just 5 months because I've never been to jail, and I know even like a day in jail would kill me. But yeah, she went to jail for 5 months for insider trading, which I've always heard about insider trading. And I'm gonna go off on a little tangent real quick, but like it's kind of like confusing to me, like why you can go to jail for that. I don't know. I feel like it's kind of stupid to go to jail for that. They did say in the documentary, like around that time, the government was really cracking down on white collar crime because of like some other things. So I feel like this was definitely in like an example, like Martha was being an example of like, oh, like we can get white collar crime. Insider trading, if you didn't know, because I didn't know until I watched this documentary really what it was, but it's essentially like you get inside information that helps make you get more money for like stocks and stuff. And like I get it, like it's to keep it all fair, keep trust or whatever. But I'm like, jail time for that seems a little bit extreme for me. I don't know. That's just my personal opinion. But yeah, I watched that documentary. It was really good. I would definitely recommend it if you're like, if you have any interest in it, I would watch it. And then Rivals! You guys, I'm not finished. Last night I wanted to watch more, but I was so tired. So I'm only up to episode 4. You know, when I tell you, it is so good. And it's just so juicy. Like everyone's sleeping with everyone. It's just the chemistry and tension between Taggy and Rupert. That's all I have to say. That's how I feel about this show. Like, it is amazing. This is my dream show. This is all my dreams come true. Like, this is what I've been needing. It's just so good. Like, um I don't have much to say because I haven't finished it. And like, I'm like in the middle of everything, so everything's just getting so good. But like, if you haven't watched that show, you literally need to watch it. And like, let's just talk about how pretty the actor is. Like, every time I look at her, I'm like, wow, girl, you are so pretty. Like, how do I look like you?
No, because the way I already know what you've seen in episode 3. So, Kennedy, we're going to be staying on this call a little after we're done recording because we need a little debrief. No, because the way I've literally been talking about this show for the past 3 episodes of the podcast. And you guys, this show, dare I say, it's taken my mind away from Maxton Hall. I haven't thought about that show since I watched Rivals. And if you know, that's saying something for me. Because nothing's come close to the Maxton Hall energy.
No, because when I was watching that last night, I was like, I think I like this better than I liked Maxton Hall. Like, I mean, I liked Maxton Hall, but like, I didn't like it as much as Liz did. So I was like, wow. Like, it's just so good. Like, I don't even know how to explain the show to you guys because I really don't know really still what it's about. But I'm just sad for the romance. And that's all I have to say.
Just wait, Kennedy. There's certain scenes that I'm waiting for your reaction.
I'm scared.
And with that, we're going to get into the song of the week. So, Kennedy, what have you been listening to?
So I'm slowly but surely becoming a Tate McRae girly, and I've been obsessed with I'm Okay, It's Okay. I'm going to play my favorite part for you guys. It is just so good. As you can see, it's a freaking bop. Love her.
So my song of the week is a song that just like dropped. Well, it's by the Marias. It's No One Noticed, but it's the extended version, specifically the Spanish version, You Guys. The last little like verses in Spanish, yeah, they did it for me. So here's my favorite part of it. And yeah, that's my song of the week.
And now we're going to get into the best lessons and advice we've learned. I don't know if I should preface this by saying we're only 21. I don't know if I should say take what we say with a grain of salt, but we're just sharing what we've learned so far in our young years.
Exactly. Things have changed later on, but these are pretty good lessons for the 21 years.
So I'll just go ahead and go first. I guess we'll just kind of go one after each other. But my first one, I've talked about this quote before. This is like my holy grail of all quotes. And this is, don't take criticism from people you wouldn't take advice from. Like, those are truly words to live by, because no matter what part of life you're in, people, they always gonna have something to say. Whether it's family, friends, people you don't know. You just gotta take it from a grain of salt and just say, like, why am I gonna let this affect me if I wouldn't go to that exact person for advice for whatever you like asked them about or told them about, or literally any aspect of life. That really helps a lot. Oh, and I also literally put this quote on my vision boards literally every year because it is that good.
Exactly. Like, if you're not going to take any advice from them, their opinion is obviously not valid in any sense. So why are you going to take the negative stuff? So my first lesson or quote is, you slipped through the hands of someone who could not hold you. So I feel like this is just something you can apply to everything, not just like romantic relationships, but just like friendships and everything in general. And it goes with the idea of just like letting go of people who could not see your worth. If they can't hold you up, they're just not worth your time. So it's like okay to slip through their fingers.
I like what you said about they not holding you up, because one thing about it, you need to get rid of the people who are holding you down because they are limiting your worth.
Exactly, Kennedy.
So my next quote is, or not quote, the next thing I've kind of learned is give people the same energy they give back. I used to be such a people pleaser in the way that, like, if you mattered to me, I would go above and beyond to kind of show you that, show up for you. But then I just kind of realized if people are not showing up for you, like, do not waste your energy. I've kind of learned that, like, everyone deserves people, and I deserve people in my life who are going to give me the same energy back. And I would rather focus all like that energy towards friendships and showing up for people, towards people who will do the same. I feel like that's just better better for you than focus my energy on people who don't and like stressing about it. That's all I have to say on that.
Yes, the whole like energy thing I feel like is so relevant like when you're thinking of like just all the relationships that you have in your life and everything, because it's all about the energy that you're giving each other. So like if their energy isn't matching your energy, you shouldn't be putting more energy into it.
Exactly, and I mostly apply this to friendships because I'm like the whole thing is like, oh, the phone works this way, whatever. But if I'm telling you happy birthday, you're not telling me happy birthday, then I feel like there's a problem. If I'm making effort to make plans with you, but you're not, having that same energy, then there's a problem, and I'm not gonna fix it because I'm doing my part. If you're not gonna do your part, a relationship, whether it's romantic or not, it's a two-way street, And if I'm halfway down the street and you're still at your house, then what's the problem?
Yes, and like with hangouts, it's definitely like it's not the same thing if you're inviting them somewhere and then they're coming, but then they never like invite you anywhere. The energy's obviously not equaling to the same thing. So take that as a sign.
And heavy on the abiding because why am I always having you in my mind, but I'm never in your mind?
And my next little lesson is change is good and embrace it. This I think is so hard, especially like I feel like this is something that I still have a really hard time like coming to terms with and everything, because change, let's face it, you never want things to change, like unless it's like a good positive change. Most of the time those like bad changes, you don't want them, but there's something that's good that's gonna come out of it, and it's just gonna take a little time, a little bit of the journey for you to like see that.
I agree. And I feel like with change, it's always good to go into it with an open mind, no matter how stressful it might be.
Because you never know like what's gonna come out of it until you see it to fruition. So it's good to just embrace it.
So my next lesson I've learned is knowledge is power. I feel like knowledge and just continuing to educate yourself and be exciting about learning is very looked over and not appreciated enough. I just feel like you can easily get taken advantage of if you don't have knowledge. I don't know. I feel like not being as knowledgeable as you can be can leave you very vulnerable. Yeah, I don't know. Knowledge is good. That's what gives you the credibility to speak up into things, get yourself into certain rooms, open new doors for you. And yeah, I feel like I just have a newfound appreciation for education and learning since being in college, because I feel like there's been discourse a lot about, college is useless, the education is useless, like there's so many other jobs you don't need it for, which I totally understand, but at the same time, there is power in knowledge.
And I think that goes like beyond just like college and like education, just like everyday knowledge. Like there's always something that you don't know, and then you can like grow as a person and an individual with that power with that knowledge, which like equals out to power. So just like staying up to date on like what's going on in the world, like those small things make you a more knowledgeable person, and at the end of the day you'll have more power with that because you can then like educate others on that kind of thing. So like that knowledge doesn't stop when you step outside of the classroom. It just like continues on every day. And if you don't think so, you got some serious rethinking to do.
Now, I really liked your point about like just make sure you know what's going on in the world. Like recently, I've been trying to get better at learning specifically the politics going in other worlds, because a lot of people do not realize, first of all, the other governments and things that are going on in the world and how it can affect each other. Like, for example, in the United States, we're about to get a very conservative government. And from what I've seen online so far, it seems like, at least in European countries, right-wing, very conservative values are starting to kind of be more exposed, I guess. And I've seen a lot of stuff about Italy and just like other countries kind of maybe following suit with being more conservative, seeing like, oh, okay, if this what happened in America, then like, how can we kind of replicate that, if you will? So yes, I do think it's very important because other countries' politics can affect others. And also on the other hand, as Americans, I know I see a lot of people being like, oh, like I'm gonna move to Canada, I'm gonna move to this, but it's like, not every other country is perfect.
Period. So my next one is never lose sight of yourself. I think this goes like really good with like the whole like change thing, but just in general, just like never lose sight of yourself and like in different environments that you surround yourself with. We all have values and like morals and just identities that we hold close to ourselves. So like don't lose sight of those just to like get by, stay true to yourself, especially in those like times of change when like it feels like everything is going like not the way you wanted to go, not losing sight of yourself really like helps like ground you in those situations. So it's just like a really good like mentality to have in just like your everyday life.
I agree. I don't have nothing to add, to be honest. I think you said everything perfectly. My next one is a quote. It's from a part of a book. I'm not sure the specific book, but I know it's from a book. And the quote is, "Your new life is going to cost you your old one." I feel like this quote helped me out a lot through the transition between high school to college, and also this upcoming transition from this university to another, and then thinking about post grad life when I'm done with school, because it's like there's a certain life that I have envisioned for me. And while it's exciting, it can also be scary with all the changes. And I know Liz has talked a lot about changes. And I feel like another way to help you through that change is knowing that things are gonna have to change, if that makes sense. And you just kind of have to embrace it. Like, in order to get to one point, you're gonna have to sacrifice other things and step out your comfort zone, whether that's people, place, things like that.
Yes, and I feel like that, like, just when you think of that specifically, like your old life, I feel like it makes it even harder. What do you mean I'm gonna have to not be that person anymore, you know? And I feel like for me, when you said it, that really resonated to me with like thinking of physically like high school me to like college me, the like change in like physicality and like my body and everything. That kind of like sucks, you know, in a way. And just like knowing that that part is like no longer my new part, you know? Like I shouldn't try to be that old person, you know. You are that new person. Like it's still you, just a different like era of you.
Yes, I definitely feel that with like the body part of it, because like in high school I would like beat myself up some days, like, why do I look like this? But now I look back, I'm like, I should have been more grateful. And it's just like, but then I really think back and it's like, okay, I might have liked certain parts of myself from high school, but I'm like, but I like my life way better now, you know? So it's, that balance.
And it's all like a continuation at the end of the day. Like you have to like get through that part to get to the new part and into the next part, to the next part until you get to the end.
Until we die.
Anyways, my next little lesson is you are who you surround yourself with. Yeah, I don't know. I feel like this really stuck out to me. This is always like a mentality that I've had, but the retreat I went to, I just really like reinforced it again, you know, that the people that you surround yourself with, you're going to like take in some of their actions or like values and like morals or whatever, and you are going to become who you surround yourself with. So like for example, someone at the retreat that I went to, they gave this example of like if you're a smoker and you're dating another smoker and you're trying to quit, you're not really going to quit. You're going to continue smoking and everything because you are surrounded by that environment and everything. So I feel like it's kind of like that mentality that you can apply to like just the communities and people that you surround yourself with. Like if you're not being challenged and you're not, and like you feel like you're not going anywhere, look around at your community and everything, and then maybe you need to like change some of that environment because you slowly become who you surround yourself with.
I've always been a believer in you are who you surround yourself with. Like, I feel like I've just seen too many examples of it literally not to be true. Like, it is just so true. Like, I pride myself on who I'm friends with and being selective of my friends, because like I just would not let anyone in my life, because you are who you surround yourself with. Like, I'm surrounded by girls who are hard workers, very motivating, funny, yada yada yada. And like, I'm not gonna surround myself with a bum friend, you know what I mean? Like, we all lift up each other, we all motivate each other. Like, that's the type of circle I want to be in. I don't want to be in a circle where we're not all up, you know what I mean? Not in like a bad way, because I don't want to come across like one of those people that are like, my friends have to be a certain type of way. Like, I would never go up to someone and be like, dismissive. But yeah.
Yes, definitely. Like it's not like dismissive. It's just you I don't know how to like describe it without like it coming off like, you know, kind of like you on a high pedestal. Like you're asking them, do you fall into these categories? And based on that we can hang out on, you know, like, and it is good. Like don't surround yourself with people who are exactly like you, because then there's no growth in that too, you know. The like good habits and that kind of stuff, it will rub off on you too, you know. And also I feel like that goes like with the whole like change thing, how those like environments that you had in the past, they were like part of like your journey to get to where you are, and like they influence you in some way. You might not have those like friendships or relationships or whatever anymore, but they had some impact on you to get to where you are. So like it all kind of like interconnected.
And it's probably easy to think like, oh, that would never be me. Like, oh, my friend is a smoker, yada yada yada. That would never be me. No, it will be. Like, I've just seen it happen so many times when I look at people, just in general, just not even just like with smoking, but just like different things. I'm like, I get people can change from high school, but I just look, I'm like, wow, it's really crazy that that's where life went for you. Because I feel like, if you weren't in that environment you were in, it would have been totally different.
Exactly. And like I feel like I see that with like people who like grew up in similar environments with me or like to me, but they were surrounded by like different overall atmospheres and environments. And they're definitely not like in the current like position I am. Like a lot of them, I don't know, might be with child, might be like in different situations. And it's definitely like I'm so grateful to the people that have surrounded me and like pushed me to be like where I am now. Cause if it was different circumstances, I may not be where I am.
Yes, heavy on that. And I can also like have seen that within like my own family as well. It's just like my cousins around the same ages and like, all come from very similar households where, it's all about the people who you're around with. And I feel like also the media you consume as well kind of coincide with your environment. So again, I feel very grateful that I just ended up the way I am. My next one is something I've had to learn is don't stress yourself trying to prove yourself to people who don't want to learn. And that's just kind of on the way of like, okay, you've told someone like, for example, for me, this would be like people telling me to like just go out, but I just don't like to, especially when I had anxiety a lot more, prevalent in my life. Like I wasn't on medication, so it was a little bit more, yeah, I was not good. So, like with social anxiety and stuff, but just like, I told you I feel this way, but you're still not listening or trying to force something else on me that I don't want to do. So I'm not going to try to sit here and prove myself to you because it's just a waste of time because like you don't want to get it. Because if it was the other way around and you told me something, I wouldn't push it. And I feel like that can also fall under the same situations where it's like people don't understand the word no or like I don't want to. Like there's nothing deeper. I just don't want to. And I'm not going to sit here and explain myself because you don't really want to listen. You just want to hear yourself talk, honestly.
And I think that goes into like a lot of the mentality of like they obviously don't care for you because if they did, they would try to listen to you. Like if someone isn't listening to you and they're just not seeing what you're trying to say, they just don't care. So it's like it's not even worth the energy.
Exactly. And I'm all about energy these days. Especially with manifestation and stuff. And it's like no negative energy around. So at least it won't be coming from my side.
My next little lesson goes pretty well with like what Kenny just went over, but just having that like let them mentality. So if you haven't heard of this, it's kind of just let so and so or like let whatever happen, like if someone is going to have a certain attitude or like do a certain thing to you, just let them. Like it's not worth your time to try to change it or anything. At the end, they're their own individual. You're like you can't control them and everything, so just let them do like what they want to do. It's just about like you can only control yourself. So if someone isn't gonna like do what you want or like what you're advising, just let them at the end of the day. Oh, I do have an example. So like if your friends are like in a not so good relationship or something and like you've tried to help and everything, at the end of the day you have to let them figure it out for themselves. You have to let them experience it and everything. And just like it's kind of like hard because you care for them and everything, but when you have that let them mentality, it also is like very stress relieving for you as an individual.
Yes, I listened to a podcast episode about that theory, and everyone should listen to it by Mel Robbins. I would definitely apply that theory with, the same situation that Liz was talking about. Like, if you have a friend that's in a not so great relationship and, it gets tiring after a while. I feel like probably from both sides, especially I'm sure it comes with like constant arguments and disagreements. And for me, I have set the boundary for myself that like I just do not engage with that type of talk with anybody because I feel like that's just best because I feel like I care too much to a fault. So I feel like I can kind of overshare my opinion, even though it might have not been needed, but it does come from a place of care. So then I kind of like stress myself out about it and get worked up about it. But I kind of realized no, literally let them be. They'll figure it out on their own. Obviously, you don't want to see someone you care about get hurt, be sad, whatever. But usually you just have to let them figure it out on their own. And then another thing I've learned, and I don't want this to be another one that sounds, that I view myself as view myself on a higher pedestal, but it's a privilege to know me. And what I mean by that is like everyone in general, like you are worthy of all good things, all that stuff. So why let these bad people and bad energy in your life? Like they do not deserve to know you. They do not deserve to know your love, kindness, all these little things about you. Like, no, it's a privilege. More, this is, I feel like this kind of is the same, like, you are who you surround yourself with, like, be selective.
Couldn't have said it better, Kennedy. Nothing to add. But my next one is don't let anyone tell you you aren't good enough, which kind of goes with like the whole it's a privilege. You shouldn't have to change yourself and like stop dreaming or like stop doing what you want to do just because someone thinks that you aren't good enough for it. At the end of the day, like you know yourself better than everybody and like you know what you are capable of and what you're not capable of. And most of the time just like someone telling you like you're not good enough and you give up, you didn't even get like got to actually see if you were able to do it or not. You know, you didn't get to push yourself and like work for that thing. Don't let anyone tell you you aren't capable of something. Like you know what you want, go for it. Don't listen to those like outside external voices and that type of thing.
I 100% agree. I feel like with me, honestly, I don't feel like I've ever really had someone say like, "Oh, you're not good enough for this," at least to my face. But for me, what I take away from that is I know myself best, so I should, stick with my intuition, my gut. Because I feel like me personally, with bigger decisions, I always want to ask people in my life, like, what do you think? Could you see me doing this or this and this? But I'm the one that knows myself best at the end of the day. And while it's always good to get outside opinion, sometimes that can be more detrimental than helpful.
Especially when you get like into your head about like everybody said and you start like analyzing it on like adding more meaning to it.
And my next one is the idea that the most successful people were delusional. And if you truly think about it, like think about all like the biggest, companies, influencers, yada, yada, yada. Nobody probably thought they would be to where they're at, but look where they're at. Because they were delusional and they believed in themselves. So I'm really trying to embody that mindset for any type of career goals or whatever I have in life and like with this podcast and stuff. Because sometimes I get in my head, whether it's with this podcast or like actually like post grad applying for jobs in the marketing world. And like I always say like I want this extravagant job with all these perks and stuff. And I'm like, oh, but like, is that really me? Like, am I worthy of that? But I'm like, no, I believe I am meant to be there. I did all this schooling. I literally just watched a TikTok today that was just like, you're not having all these visions and delusions and like all these callings in your mind for a specific lifestyle for no reason. So it's like, exactly, like it's my future life is calling to me, but I just need to put in the work and implement the steps now so I can get to there and believe in myself, believe in the dream, believe in the manifestations, and just keep working because, I mean, Mark Zuckerberg believed in himself. That nasty man who owns Tesla believed in himself. Kamala believed in herself. Like all these people truly believed in themselves, and that's how they got into positions of power. And I do recognize, some of these people, may have grown up rich, but still, they still believed in themselves.
And I think if you like apply that just like in general, like if you're looking like scientists and like literally we have light because these people were crazy and delusional back in their day and we're like, what if like that, like we could light up the room without a candle, like all those like crazy inventions that like we see as like everyday type things. Those inventors were like delusional back then. They're probably people thought they were crazy, but now look at us.
Yeah, see, I'm a business student, so y'all know my first mind always goes to business. So like y'all see my lovely Olipop here. Not sponsored, wish it was. But like just think low key a couple years ago, someone brought up the idea to someone like, oh, I want to start like a healthy soda trend. They'd be like, what? But now we all want healthy soda. So believe in yourself.
My next one is feel your emotions. I think that this is pretty hard. I'm not gonna lie. Especially I'm the kind of person who like bottles up my emotions and doesn't let myself like really feel them. But you need to feel your emotions and feel what you're going through because it's okay. Like it's okay to go through stuff. It's okay to want to cry and have those like little like breakdowns. And sometimes you just need to feel those emotions and like let your body like really like get them out so you can like move on to the next thing and like what's better for you. But if you don't let yourself feel those emotions, they're just going to bottle up, and then when they do eventually explode because they're going to, you're not going to know how to handle those things. So I think it's really important to like just be able to feel what you're going through and feel those emotions because it's normal. Everybody goes through similar emotions.
I agree. Emotions are what make us human. We are not meant to keep it all bottled up and act like little robots.
Exactly. The robots, they have no emotions, they have no feelings. That's what makes them a robot. Don't be a robot.
Especially not a Tesla robot. And that's why we are on Threads. People go follow us. And so my next quote is, okay, it's not really a quote, but it's the idea that there's more people waiting to meet me, love me, places to see, etc. This mindset really helps me if I'm feeling really like stuck in life and feeling lost, I'm like, no, this may be my present moment, but like I just said, there's so many more places I have yet to see that are waiting for me, people waiting for me. My future husband waiting for me. And just many more friends, yada yada yada, experiences to have. And so that really helps me have something to look forward to.
Such a good mentality to have, especially like you guys, there's 7 billion people on this planet. The people that you're currently surrounding yourself with aren't gonna be like the end of the world, you know? Like there is so many more people out there and so many more potential like connections to like people, individuals, places, like everything for you that's waiting out there. So you just have to like go out there and like look for it.
Yes, and 7 billion, surely one of them is my future husband, and surely he's rich.
He's waiting in that French countryside for you, Kennedy.
He's in the south of France, preferably Monaco. No, I was just playing. Oh, but I did see, okay, this is off topic, but I saw a funny TikTok today, and they were like, there's this whole thing that like when people say like, oh, if school doesn't work out, I'm gonna just marry a rich man. And the girl was like, what makes y'all think a rich man wants a dumbass? And I was like, LOL. I said, good thing I got a college degree.
Again, knowledge is power.
No, exactly. So me and Liz, we're gonna bag our degrees and bag our rich men. We said it here first.
We are manifesting and claiming that energy.
And we will also be the rich ones as well.
Okay, so my last one is never conform to fit the norm. Like you are you are your individual. It might not be like quote unquote normal, but like who decides what's normal and what's not? You decide what is and what isn't okay, you know? So like never change who you are. Like stick to those values, those morals, those identities. Stick to who you are because you know who you are more than anyone else. And you don't need to change to like fit in. And if you do think you need to change, you're just not in that right circle. You're not in that right environment. Like we said, 7 billion people out there, 7 continents on this planet for you to go and explore.
I have never heard that quote before, but I F with it. Yep. I need that written down on a shirt. Yeah, do not conform. Because the norm is boring. Be yourself.
And just think, if everybody was the same, this would be a very boring place.
It would be what Trump wants America to be like.
Too soon, Kennedy.
I don't know where I got this energy from today, you guys. I'm a comedian, you guys. Our first comedy tour is next month. So my next quote is never settle. And I apply this to every area of life. Relationships, friendships, lifestyle. I feel like honestly, like never settle kind of just plays into everything else I've already said, but truly never settle. We all deserve the best. So don't give yourself the worst. I ate that. And yeah, never settle for anything. I mean, I feel like it can be so easy to because you feel like you may be lacking something. For me, what would be most prevalent for me lacking would be, a man. And I feel like it could be so easy to get someone if I was desperate enough, but I'm not desperate. I have standards. So no, I'm not just gonna date anybody because I'm lonely. And we see how that turns out. Not good. And think of all the people who settled because they're lonely. Are they still together? They're not. No guy.
Exactly. And don't let anyone tell you that you need to settle or that you need to lower your expectations because you don't. And like, not just like relationships and stuff, but like in anything. Job, career, whatever it is you're doing, you don't need to settle. And if you feel that you do, there's something out there better for you.
Exactly that.
So basically, now that you listened this far, you're just going to leave this podcast like a whole changed individual with all of the lessons and quotes and advice that me and Kenny have given you.
Yes, I hope you're listening to this episode with a notepad and some paper out because we low-key was eating. We was low-key spitting some bars.
And with that, that is the end of this episode for the Girls Lounge with your hosts Liz and KT. We'll see you guys next week. Make sure you follow us on all of our socials and bye.
Bye.